The cold vastness of space stretched before Captain Zara Vex like an infinite canvas of darkness, punctuated by distant starlight. Her command deck aboard the Zorn Collective's advanced reconnaissance vessel, the Stellar Sentinel, hummed with the subtle vibrations of quantum drives and advanced sensor arrays. Outside the crystalline viewports, the complex holographic displays flickered with data streams that represented millennia of galactic exploration and technological supremacy. Captain Vex had logged thousands of reconnaissance missions during her career, each one a testament to the Zorn Collective's unparalleled ability to catalog and assess emerging civilizations. Her species had long prided itself on a comprehensive database of planetary systems, ranking each world according to its potential for resource extraction, technological development, and strategic value. Most missions were routine, identifying potential colony sites, assessing primitive species, and mapping unexplored regions of space. This particular assignment seemed unremarkable at first glance. The star system designated as Sol 3 appeared to be another in a long line of marginally developed worlds. Previous long-range scans had detected primitive radio emissions, rudimentary satellite networks, and clear signs of a species still confined to a single planetary body. The Zorn database classified such civilizations in the lowest tier of technological development, barely worth more than a cursory investigation. Lieutenant Krell, Vex's primary sensor specialist, manipulated the holographic controls with practiced efficiency. His multifaceted eyes, a marvel of Zorn evolutionary adaptation, could process multiple spectrums of electromagnetic radiation simultaneously. "Captain," he announced, his translation implant converting his native clicks and whistles into standard galactic communication. "Initial scans are completing. The planet shows typical markers of an emerging technological civilization." Zara leaned forward, her scaled fingers tracing the holographic representation of Earth. Atmospheric composition, geological structures, technological indicators, all seemed predictably mundane. Small clusters of orbital satellites, primitive communication networks, occasional energy signatures that suggested basic industrial capabilities. Nothing suggested anything beyond a species taking its first hesitant steps into cosmic awareness. "Prepare standard reconnaissance protocols," she instructed, her voice carrying the calm certainty of countless previous missions. "We'll conduct a close proximity scan and compile a preliminary report for the Collective's xenological archives." What Captain Vex did not know, could not know, was that every single one of her ship's sensors was being watched. Thousands of kilometers away, deep within the solar system, a network of stealth satellites had been tracking the Zorn vessel from the moment it entered their sensor range. These were not the primitive detection systems the Zorn expected, but a sophisticated web of quantum-linked monitoring platforms that could analyze incoming vessels with microscopic precision. Aboard a hidden monitoring station nestled within the asteroid belt, a team of human specialists worked with methodical precision. Their screens displayed every micro-fluctuation of the alien vessel's systems, mapping its capabilities, analyzing its technology, and preparing potential defensive and offensive responses. This was not a moment of panic, but of calculated preparation, a chess game played across millions of kilometers of empty space. Lieutenant Marcus Chen, head of the First Contact Response Team, studied the alien vessel's approach with clinical detachment. "They're running standard xenological assessment protocols," he muttered to his team, completely unaware of our true capabilities. The irony was profound. The Zorn Collective believed they were the unseen observers, cataloging another primitive world. In reality, they were the ones being studied, their every movement anticipated and analyzed by a species they had grossly underestimated. As the Stellar Sentinel continued its approach, preparing for what its crew believed would be a routine planetary assessment, it remained blissfully unaware that its own discovery was about to become a turning point in galactic history. The humans were ready. The humans had been ready for a long time. And the Zorn Collective was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. Deep beneath the Andes Mountains, a complex of research facilities stretched across multiple subterranean levels, representing humanity's most closely guarded secret. The Global Defense Initiative headquarters was more than a military installation. It was a testament to human innovation, a cathedral of technological advancement built in absolute secrecy. Admiral Elena Rodriguez walked through the Central Command Center, her footsteps echoing against walls embedded with quantum-encrypted communication systems. Around her, holographic displays danced with intricate data streams, showing real-time information from every corner of the solar system. Each display represented years of painstaking research, technological breakthroughs that had been carefully hidden from the global scientific community and potential extraterrestrial observers. The journey to this moment had been decades in the making. It began in the aftermath of the first credible extraterrestrial signal detection in 2048. While the world celebrated the potential of first contact, a select group of scientists, military strategists, and technological innovators understood the potential threat lurking behind that distant radio wave. Dr. Michael Chen, the lead researcher of the Advanced Propulsion Division, stood before a massive holographic model of a next-generation spacecraft. Unlike traditional space vessels, these were living systems, adaptive platforms that could reconfigure themselves instantaneously. Each ship was essentially a massive distributed neural network, with computational capabilities that blurred the line between machine and intelligence. Our primary design philosophy, Chen explained to a group of senior researchers, is total adaptability. These vessels aren't just ships. They're complex organisms designed to survive and thrive in any potential combat scenario. The technological innovations were breathtaking. Adaptive nanomaterial hull compositions that could redistribute energy and structural integrity in milliseconds. Quantum-entangled communication systems that could transmit information faster than light. Weapon systems that could predict and counter potential threats before they fully materialized. Beneath the Central Command Center, massive fabrication facilities worked around the clock. Robotic systems constructed components with microscopic precision, assembling ships that looked more like living sculptures than traditional spacecraft. Each vessel incorporated lessons learned from decades of theoretical combat scenarios, quantum computational models, and predictive algorithms that had been refined through countless simulations. Admiral Rodriguez paused before a massive wall display showing Earth's defensive network, hundreds of stealth satellites, orbital platforms, and deep space monitoring systems created an invisible shield around humanity's homeworld. These were not mere defensive installations. They were intricate parts of a global immune system, ready to respond to any potential threat with overwhelming precision. The funding for this project had come from unexpected sources. Major technological corporations, seeing the potential existential threat, had quietly redirected billions of dollars into black-budget research programs. Governments around the world had slowly aligned their interests, understanding that humanity's survival might depend on its ability to present a unified front against potential extraterrestrial challenges. Dr. Samantha Rodriguez, the Admiral's daughter and a leading expert in xenological computational theory, was developing something even more extraordinary. Her team had created advanced artificial intelligence systems designed specifically to analyze and predict potential alien technological approaches. These were not simple predictive algorithms, but complex learning systems that could rapidly adapt to unknown technological paradigms. "We're preparing for a scenario beyond simple defense," she explained during a classified briefing. "We're developing the capability to understand and respond to technological frameworks that might be completely alien to our current understanding of physics and computational theory." The Global Defense Initiative was more than a military project. It was humanity's insurance policy, a carefully crafted response to the possibility that we might not be alone in the universe, and that our first encounter might not be peaceful. As Admiral Rodriguez completed her walkthrough, she understood the weight of their preparation. Decades of work, billions of dollars, the collective effort of humanity's brightest minds, all focused on this moment. They were ready. Whatever came through the darkness of space would find humanity waiting, prepared and unafraid. The universe was about to meet a species it had gravely underestimated. The silence of space erupted with unexpected violence as the Zorn fleet materialized at the edge of the solar system. 12 massive battlecruisers emerged from hyperspace, their obsidian hulls gleaming with centuries of technological refinement. Captain Zarevek stood on the bridge of the Stellar Sentinel, her confidence radiating through the command deck like a tangible force. Aboard the United Earth Defense Force, UEDF, command station hidden within the asteroid belt, Lieutenant Marcus Chen's fingers danced across holographic interfaces. Incoming vessels detected, he reported with clinical precision. 12 Zorn-class battlecruisers. Configuration matches preliminary intelligence estimates. Admiral Elena Rodriguez studied the tactical display, a holographic representation of the solar system spinning before her. Years of preparation had led to this moment. Every sensor, every weapons system, every carefully designed defensive strategy was about to be tested. The first communication from the Zorn fleet arrived. A standard colonization directive broadcast across multiple frequencies. The message was a mixture of mathematical sequences and linguistic algorithms, a typical approach used by the Zorn collective when encountering lesser-developed civilizations. It translated roughly to, "Inhabitants of Sol 3, your planetary system is now under Zorn collective jurisdiction. Prepare for systematic resource allocation and population assessment." In the command center, a momentary silence hung in the air. Then, a response was prepared, not of fear, but of calculated invitation. Galactic coordinates received. The UEDF transmission began. Engagement parameters established. Recommended safe distance, minimum 500,000 kilometers from primary defensive perimeter. Captain Vex found the response curious. Most primitive civilizations would respond with panic, confusion, or attempts at negotiation. This message was different, precise, almost clinical, with an underlying tone of confidence that seemed entirely out of place. The first wave of human defensive platforms began to move. They weren't simple satellites or static defense systems. These were adaptive combat units, each one a marvel of distributed intelligence and modular design. They shifted and reconfigured with a fluidity that defied traditional understanding of space warfare. Quantum-entangled communication networks lit up across the solar system. Stealth platforms that had been invisible moments before now revealed themselves, not as singular units, but as a complex, interconnected web of defensive capabilities. Each platform was a node in a massive, living computational network. "Weapon systems powering up," reported Lieutenant Chen. "Adaptive configuration protocols engage." The Zorn fleet began their standard approach pattern, a mathematically precise formation designed to overwhelm and subdue. They had conquered hundreds of civilizations using this exact strategy. Scanning beams reached out, attempting to analyze the human defensive network. What they found defied all expectations. Each human defensive platform responded to the scan with a complex countersignal. Instead of providing information, the platforms began to shift and adapt, their very configurations changing in real time. Energy signatures morphed, structural compositions realigned, and computational matrices recalculated faster than the Zorn sensors could track. Captain Vex leaned forward, her confidence momentarily shaken. "Recalibrate scanning protocols," she ordered. "Something is not right." The first warning came as a series of quantum entanglement signals, precise, mathematically perfect communications that seemed to originate from multiple points simultaneously. The human defensive network was not just responding. It was communicating in a language of pure information that the Zorn systems struggled to comprehend. Weapon systems began to power up across the human defensive line. But these were not simple energy weapons or traditional projectile systems. Each weapon was a complex, adaptive system that could change its fundamental physics almost instantaneously. The galaxy was about to witness something unprecedented. This was not going to be a simple colonization. This was going to be a fundamental rewriting of interstellar understanding. First contact had begun, and humanity was ready. The first exchange of fire came like a quantum pulse of pure energy. Human defensive platforms transformed with impossible speed, their molecular structures realigning in microseconds to create the most optimal defensive and offensive configurations imaginable. Commander David Chen watched from the primary command hub, his hands hovering above holographic interfaces that seemed to anticipate his thoughts. The human warships were more than machines. They were living systems of incredible complexity, each vessel a neural network that could adapt and respond faster than any organic intelligence could comprehend. The Zorn battlecruisers fired their primary energy weapons, cascading plasma streams designed to overwhelm and destroy any conventional defensive system. But these were not conventional defenses. As the plasma approached, the human platforms began to shift. Molecular structures rearranged, energy absorption matrices recalibrated, and defensive fields flickered with a complexity that seemed to defy the basic laws of physics. Where a traditional warship might have been vaporized, these human vessels absorbed, redirected, and transformed the incoming energy. Some sections of the platforms would momentarily become transparent, allowing the plasma to pass through without causing damage. Others would convert the incoming energy into additional power, feeding it back into their own systems. Energy redistribution at 98% efficiency, reported Lieutenant Sarah Martinez, her voice calm despite the intensity of the battle. Adaptive camouflage protocols engaging. The human ships were not just defending. They were learning. Each incoming attack was analyzed, understood, and integrated into their defensive and offensive strategies. The Zorn weapons that had conquered hundreds of civilizations now seemed almost primitive in comparison. Offensive capabilities emerged with equal complexity. Where the Zorn expected traditional energy weapons or missile systems, the human platforms began to deploy something entirely different. Quantum entanglement weapons that could strike multiple targets simultaneously, energy systems that could alter the fundamental molecular structure of their targets. Captain Zara Vex watched in growing horror as her fleet's most advanced weapons seemed to simply dissipate against the human defensive network. Her tactical displays became a nightmare of incomprehensible data. Systems that should have been destroyed continued to function, adapting and responding in ways that defied all known technological principles. "Recalibrate weapon frequencies," she ordered, her voice betraying a hint of panic. "Adjust quantum harmonics." But it was already too late. The human platforms were several steps ahead, their computational systems processing potential attack vectors faster than the Zorn could adjust their strategies. Each of the human vessels was a distributed intelligence, the living weapon system that could think and adapt in real time. The most remarkable aspect was the interconnectedness of the human defensive network. Each platform wasn't just an individual unit. It was part of a larger living system. They communicated through quantum channels, sharing information and adaptive strategies at speeds that made the Zorn communication systems look like primitive smoke signals. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, watching from the underground command center, understood the true nature of what was happening. This wasn't just a technological display. It was a demonstration of humanity's fundamental approach to problem solving. Adaptability, collective intelligence, the ability to learn and transform in real time. Weapon systems that had been hidden now began to emerge. Platforms that had appeared defensive moments before now revealed offensive capabilities that were breathtaking in their complexity. Energy streams that could alter the quantum state of matter, computational attacks that could disrupt alien systems at their most fundamental level. The Zorn fleet found itself fighting an enemy that seemed to anticipate every move, every strategy, every potential line of attack. Their most advanced technology was being systematically dismantled by a defensive network that was more alive than machine. "Total system adaptation," reported Commander Chen. "Defensive efficiency at 99.7%. The battle was becoming less of a conflict and more of a demonstration. Humanity was showing the galaxy something unprecedented. A technological approach that was so advanced, so fundamentally different, that it challenged everything known about space warfare. The symphony of technology was reaching its crescendo, and the Zorn Collective was about to learn a lesson they would never forget. Humanity had arrived. Captain Zara Vex felt something she had never experienced in her entire career: absolute terror. The bridge of the Asterisk, Stellar Sentinel Asterisk, had transformed from a confident command center to a nightmare of incomprehensible data and systematic destruction. Her secondary tactical officer, Lieutenant Krell, frantically manipulated holographic interfaces. "Defensive systems failing," he reported, his multifaceted eyes reflecting cascading threat matrices. "Our quantum shields are being systematically deconstructed at a molecular level." What had begun as a routine colonization mission had become an impossible scenario. The human defensive network was not just resisting. It was actively dismantling the Zorn Collective's most advanced battle fleet with surgical precision. Each of the 12 Zorn battlecruisers found themselves caught in a web of technological superiority that defied every known principle of space warfare. The humans were doing something unprecedented. Instead of simply destroying Zorn vessels, they were analyzing, understanding, and neutralizing them with a level of computational complexity that seemed almost sentient. Weapon systems were being rendered inert, quantum communication channels were being hijacked and repurposed, and the very fundamental structures of the Zorn ships were being systematically broken down. "Reconfigure primary weapon systems," Vex ordered, her voice tight with restrained panic. But even as she spoke, she knew it was futile. The human platforms were adapting faster than her crew could think, anticipating every potential strategic response before it could be implemented. Historical records of the Zorn Collective showed hundreds of successful planetary conquests. They had faced civilizations with advanced technologies, primitive defense systems, and everything in between. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared them for this moment. The most terrifying aspect was the apparent ease with which the humans were dismantling their fleet. There was no sense of struggle, no indication of significant effort. It was as if the human defensive network was solving a simple mathematical equation, systematically breaking down the Zorn technological framework with cold, calculated precision. Communication channels between the Zorn vessels began to break down. Quantum entanglement communication networks, once considered the most secure in the galaxy, were being compromised and transformed. The humans weren't just blocking communications, they were actively repurposing the Zorn communication infrastructure. Lieutenant Krell's final report came with a tremor in his translated speech. "Captain, our entire tactical database is being analyzed and neutralized. They are not just defending. They are understanding our entire technological framework in real time." The scale of the technological gulf became brutally apparent. Where the Zorn had believed themselves to be at the pinnacle of galactic technological achievement, the humans revealed a level of innovation that was almost incomprehensible. Their defensive platforms were more than machines. They were living, thinking systems that could adapt and respond faster than organic intelligence could process. Vex watched as another battlecruiser was systematically disabled. Not destroyed, disabled. The humans were making a statement. This was not about total annihilation, but about demonstrating a level of technological superiority that was beyond anything the Zorn had ever encountered. The quantum computational systems of the Asterisk, Stellar Sentinel Asterisk, began to fail, not through traditional damage, but through a complete deconstruction of their fundamental operating principles. It was as if the humans were speaking a technological language so advanced that it could rewrite the basic operational codes of alien systems. In those final moments, Captain Zara Vex understood something profound. This was more than a battle. This was a fundamental redefinition of technological potential. Humanity was not just another species to be cataloged and conquered. They were something entirely different. A civilization that had been preparing, waiting, and developing technologies that challenged the very understanding of what was possible. The Zorn Collective's most advanced battle fleet was being systematically neutralized by a species they had considered primitive. The irony was devastating. As the last systems of the Asterisk, Stellar Sentinel Asterisk, began to fail, A single thought crystallized in Vex's mind. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be as it was before. The first transmission reached the Galactic Conquests communication hub less than 12 standard solar hours after the engagement. A compressed data packet that contained something unprecedented. Complete sensor logs of the human defensive action against the Zorn Collective's battle fleet. Director Xerolon of the Concordance Research Division stared at the holographic display, his crystalline neural nodes pulsing with confusion and growing alarm. The data defied every known principle of technological development. 12 advanced Zorn battlecruisers, vessels that had been the cornerstone of galactic military might for centuries, completely neutralized by a species previously classified as a potential emerging civilization. Scientific councils across multiple star systems began emergency sessions. The transmission revealed more than just a military encounter. It was a fundamental challenge to everything understood about technological progression, adaptive systems, and interstellar capabilities. The Marillion Computational Network, considered the most advanced analytical system in known space, spent 3 consecutive cycles processing the human engagement data. Their conclusion was both shocking and definitive. The humans had demonstrated a level of technological innovation that was generations, perhaps centuries, beyond current galactic understanding. This is not simply advanced technology, reported Chief Analyst Creelan to the Concordance High Council. This is a fundamental reimagining of technological potential. Diplomatic channels erupted into chaos. Species that had long viewed humanity as a primitive, confined civilization now found themselves reassessing every previous assumption. The humans had not just defended themselves, they had done so with a level of sophistication that suggested they had been preparing for this moment for decades, perhaps even centuries. Research institutions across multiple star systems began intensive study of the transmission. Every data point was analyzed, every quantum signal dissected. The humans had essentially provided a technological showcase, a demonstration of capabilities that was both a warning and an invitation. The economic implications were immediate and profound. Trade routes that had been established based on technological hierarchies began to shift. Species that had long dominated technological markets found themselves suddenly obsolete. The humans had revealed an approach to technology that was more than incremental improvement. It was a complete paradigm shift. Most critically, the transmission revealed something even more unsettling. The humans had been watching, waiting, and preparing. This was not a lucky defensive action. This was a calculated demonstration of technological capability. Ambassador Zrel of the Quantum Cooperative noted in a classified report, "Humanity is not an emerging civilization. They are a civilization that has been deliberately hiding its true capabilities." The most advanced computational systems in the galaxy spent weeks analyzing the engagement. Each analysis reached the same conclusion. The humans had neutralized the Zorn fleet with what seemed like minimal effort. Their defensive systems were so advanced that they appeared almost sentient. Adaptive platforms that could learn, respond, and neutralize threats faster than organic intelligence could comprehend. Scientific councils began to reconstruct their understanding of technological development. The humans had demonstrated something unprecedented, a holistic approach to technology that integrated computational systems, adaptive materials, quantum mechanics, and strategic thinking in a way that had never been seen before. The Galactic Conquests communication networks buzzed with speculation, fear, and a growing sense of respect. This was more than a military encounter. This was a fundamental redefinition of what was possible. Director Xerolon summarized it best in his final report to the High Council. Humanity is not just another species. They are a fundamental unknown. A civilization that has been preparing, watching, and developing technologies that challenge our most basic understanding of technological potential. The galaxy had stopped, and humanity had just begun to show what it was truly capable of. Weeks after the encounter, one thing became crystal clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. The transmission from Earth came precisely 72 hours after the engagement. Every communication channel in the known galaxy seemed to pause, waiting with collective anticipation. Admiral Elena Rodriguez sat in the primary communication hub, her posture deliberate and calm. Behind her, a holographic display showed the intricate network of global defense systems, a subtle reminder of humanity's preparedness. The message she was about to send would reshape interstellar diplomacy forever. Galactic Conquests and participating stellar civilizations. The transmission began. Humanity acknowledges the recent military engagement initiated by the Zorn Collective. The language was precise, diplomatic, but carried an undercurrent of absolute confidence. Each word was carefully constructed, translated through advanced quantum communication systems that ensured perfect comprehension across multiple linguistic frameworks. "We do not seek conflict," the message continued, "but we will defend our sovereign space with absolute clarity." The recent encounter was not an act of aggression, but a demonstration of our capacity for self-preservation. Diplomatic channels across multiple star systems received the transmission simultaneously. Translation algorithms worked overtime, capturing not just the words, but the nuanced diplomatic subtext that spoke volumes about human strategic thinking. The message outlined humanity's position with surgical precision. They were not seeking territorial expansion. They were not declaring war. They were simply establishing a clear boundary of mutual respect and potential cooperation. To those who approach with peaceful intentions, the transmission stated, "We offer open communication channels and potential collaborative opportunities. To those who perceive us as a potential conquest, we have comprehensively demonstrated our defensive capabilities." Behind the scenes, a complex diplomatic strategy was unfolding. While the public transmission was calm and measured, human diplomatic teams were already engaging in sophisticated back-channel negotiations. Every major stellar civilization was being approached with a carefully crafted combination of technological demonstration and diplomatic outreach. Dr. Marcus Chen, head of the Xenological Diplomatic Corps, orchestrated a series of strategic communications. Each message was tailored to the specific cultural and technological understanding of different stellar civilizations. Some received detailed technical briefings, others received cultural exchanges, but all received the same underlying message. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The most remarkable aspect of the human response was its restraint. They had not pursued the destroyed Zorn fleet. They had not launched any retaliatory strikes. They had simply defended themselves, and then opened a dialogue. Galactic political analysts found themselves rewriting diplomatic models. Humanity had introduced a new paradigm of interstellar engagement, one that combined overwhelming technological capability with a measured, almost philosophical approach to potential conflict. Ambassador Zrel of the Quantum Cooperative noted in a confidential report, "Humanity has demonstrated something unprecedented. They are not just technologically superior, they are strategically brilliant." The transmission included subtle invitations for scientific and cultural exchange. Research data packages were made available, showing glimpses of human technological capabilities without revealing their full extent. It was an elegant display of both transparency and strategic restraint. "We understand," the final section of the transmission read, "that our technological capabilities may cause concern. We wish to be clear. Our goal is not domination, but coexistence. We are prepared to defend ourselves, but we prefer collaboration." Communication networks across the galaxy buzzed with analysis. Every word, every nuance was dissected by diplomatic experts, computational systems, and stellar civilization leaders. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not with a roar of conquest, but with a calm, calculated invitation to mutual understanding. The galaxy held its collective breath. A new chapter of interstellar relations was about to begin. 6 months after the encounter, the fundamental structure of galactic civilization had transformed irrevocably. The Galactic Conquests convened a special session that would be remembered throughout stellar history. The day humanity was officially recognized as a major interstellar civilization. The conference hall on the neutral diplomatic station orbiting the Perseus arm was a marvel of multicultural engineering. Delegations from over 200 stellar civilizations gathered, each representative carrying the weight of their species' collective anticipation and trepidation. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood at the central podium, a holographic display behind her showcasing glimpses of human technological and cultural achievements. It was a carefully curated presentation, enough to demonstrate capability, but not so much as to overwhelm or threaten. "We come not as conquerors," she began, "but as potential partners in a broader galactic community." The diplomatic landscape had fundamentally shifted. Species that had previously ignored or dismissed humanity now sought alliance and collaboration. The technological demonstration against the Zorn Collective had proven that humanity was not just another emerging civilization. They were a force to be reckoned with. Scientific exchanges began to flourish. Human research teams found themselves at the center of collaborative projects that were pushing the boundaries of known physics, computational theory, and technological innovation. Universities and research institutions across multiple star systems competed for the opportunity to work with human scientists. Economic systems underwent massive restructuring. The human approach to technological development, adaptive, innovative, and fundamentally different from existing galactic paradigms, created entirely new markets and collaboration opportunities. Trading routes were redrawn, economic alliances were reformed, and entire industrial sectors were reimagined. The most profound changes occurred in military and defensive strategies. Every stellar civilization began reassessing its technological capabilities in light of the human demonstration. What had once been considered cutting-edge technology now seemed obsolete. Military academies across the galaxy began studying the human engagement with the Zorn Collective as a fundamental case study in adaptive warfare. Dr. Marcus Chen, leading the Xenological Diplomatic Corps, noted in a classified briefing, "Our goal is not to dominate, but to elevate. We're introducing a new way of thinking about technological and cultural development." Humanitarian and cultural exchange programs expanded rapidly. Human researchers, diplomats, and cultural ambassadors found themselves at the forefront of a new era of interstellar understanding. The human approach, combining technological sophistication with genuine curiosity and respect for other civilizations, was revolutionary. The Zorn Collective, once considered the most powerful military force in the known galaxy, found itself fundamentally transformed. Their defeat had triggered internal political revolutions. Many Zorn political factions began advocating for a complete restructuring of their approach to interstellar exploration and engagement. Quantum communication networks that had once been controlled by a few dominant civilizations now found themselves open and collaborative. The human approach to information sharing and technological development challenged existing paradigms of technological control and monopolization. Most surprisingly, humanity showed no interest in territorial expansion or military dominance. Their diplomatic approach was based on mutual benefit, scientific collaboration, and a genuine interest in cultural exchange. This was not the approach of a conquering species, but of a civilization genuinely interested in broader galactic understanding. "We are not here to change you," Ambassador Rodriguez told the assembled delegates. "We are here to learn with you, to grow together, to explore the vast potential of our collective capabilities." The final resolution of the Galactic Concordance was unprecedented. Humanity was not just recognized as a major stellar civilization. They were invited to become a core member of the galactic community's highest decision-making bodies. As the conference concluded, one thing became abundantly clear. The arrival of humanity had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same again. A new chapter of stellar history had begun, and humanity was ready to write it.